I'm going to return to our expert panel now. Kevin, firstly to you, can you explain this outcome to us?
Absolutely, Anne. This is a fundamental and complete win for the media defendants in this case. By saying each proceeding must be dismissed, every aspect of the action brought by Ben Roberts-Smith, remembering that this wasn't a criminal trial and this was not a trial by a court which is determining war crimes. This was an action brought by Ben Roberts-Smith to bring all of these factual matters into play, was entirely unsuccessful. That means that in a large number of material aspects, the defence of truth was made out, and in the balance of the meanings that arose, the defence of contextual truth was made out. Now, the first of those two, truth, is fairly straightforward. On the balance of probabilities, and to speak in general terms, it was established that Ben Roberts-Smith committed unlawful murders on a number of occasions. We heard about two Afghans at a location called Whiskey 108, one in Darwin, one in Shanatu, and one in... all of those four were established as being substantially true in the terms that were published by the defendant newspapers. In relation to the balance, there were two matters where the unlawful deaths were not established, one of which involved a witness who declined to give evidence because of the risk of self-incrimination. In relation to those two, and in relation to two other matters where substantial truth wasn't made out, they were the bullying or the threats to a Trooper J and the domestic violence aspects in Canberra, the court found that the facts of the matter weren't established to the standard that allowed a truth defence to those imputations or those meanings. So it wasn't a complete truth defence, but that's where another defence that was brought by the media defendants comes in, and that was the contextual truth defence. And that could be a little bit technical, Anne, but to explain it in general terms, if an article was published that said that I haven't paid my parking fines and I pushed my maiden aunt down the stairs, if the fact is I had paid my parking fines and you got that imputation wrong, and you didn't have a truth defence to that, the fact that you're able to establish that I pushed my maiden aunt down the stairs would mean that my reputation wasn't harmed any more by that which wasn't proven. So it's a complete defence to say that in the context of what we did prove, your reputation wasn't harmed any further. So it's very technical,
right.
But
it is technical.
It does mean...
Basically what people want to know today is who won this case?
It was a complete win for the media defendants. So what we've heard already is some statements from counsel. Nicholas Owens SC for the defendant will be very pleased with his decision, with the decision today. It's his first extended defamation trial and it's a massive win for him. He immediately said that he wanted to make an application for costs and to a certain extent on an indemnity basis, which would mean that Ben Roberts-Smith and other parties may have to pay the entirety of the media defendants' costs if that application is successful. But importantly, we also heard from Mr Moses, who's senior counsel for the applicant, and he said, can we have a little additional time to put on an appeal? And that's a pretty clear signal to the judge that this may not be over yet. We have a party who has been unsuccessful already talking about appeal.
So therefore this will then be put to the test of the High Court?
It would need to go to the full federal court in the first instance, because being in the federal court system, the next step is to go to the full bench of the federal court, and the High Court would only be engaged in a matter like this if they saw problems with the findings in the courts below. So there's no automatic right to go to the High Court, and that would need to be something that's pursued further on down. So there's a little bit more tennis to be played in this yet.
All right, Kevin, thank you very much. I'm going to bring in Martin Hamilton-Smith once again. Martin, this is not what Ben Roberts-Smith was expecting. How do you reflect on the findings by Justice Bosanquet?
No, well, as Kevin's pointed out, this is a defamation matter. Ben and his team would be very disappointed. It's not a criminal finding. And the point that I would make is that everyone caught up in this, all the veterans caught up in this, whole matter would want to see any criminal allegations brought as quickly as possible and the truth established in a criminal court. And only in that way will you get to the truth. And I just would make the point that all of those involved, both those who've raised concerns and those who've defended themselves from accusations, we feel for very strongly. They're all good soldiers, all good veterans, caught up in a very messy war. So I think we'll only As has been pointed out, there may well be an appeal, so I don't think this is over yet. But the sooner we get to the real truth of matters through any criminal proceedings, the better. And I hope that the Office of the Special Investigator just simply gets on with it so we can get through that and move on, because this has been a very tortuous process for all involved.
All right, Martin Hamilton-Smith, thank you very much for your time this afternoon, and Kevin Lynch, thank you very much to you too. That is where we'll leave our breaking coverage of the Ben Roberts-Smith defamation judgment. We'll have more details coming up on our afternoon news at 4 p.m, and full coverage from the team on 7 News at 6 with Mark Ferguson. For now though, I'm Ann Sanders. Thanks for your company.
Stream 7 News anytime, live and on demand on 7plus. And with 7news.com.au, you'll know the news now.
They say every dog has his day, but can the Bulldogs get back on top?
Dog fans will like that.
The reigning premiers are in hot water for a Saturday night showdown.
They scratch and claw and snarl their way to a win.
But first, Friday, the Blues face the Demons in a must-win blockbuster at the MCG.
It's golden!
A season-defining weekend starts with Friday Night Footy, live and free on 7.